Welcome to my channel, where today we will teach you how to make a canvas start to finish, ripping the lumber, cutting your 45s and assembling the frames, also stretching the canvas. So let's get started. First, I like to plan out my work and I draw everything up. We're going to do four 16 by 24 inch frames and one 24 by 36. It's going to require six 2 by 4 studs. And this is going to demonstrate how to rip the lumber at an angle. So you want the outer edge of your frame to be beveled so that the canvas only touches on the outside. And I'll demonstrate that here in a minute. And if you use this technique where you cut it just a little bit shy of halfway, it will leave a piece in the middle that we discard, but it allows us to do two cuts with one 2 by 4, and you'll get two long pieces out of one piece of lumber. So I'm demonstrating that here. We just take the second piece and run it through, discard that middle piece, and we have two pieces of lumber to make our uh, outside frames. The inner pieces that support the inside of the frame, those you can cut into thirds here with one piece of lumber, and we'll cut those at 45s to support the frames on the inside, and you'll see that in a second. Here I'm setting up my miter saw for 45s. And I'll also show you here in a minute. I have my fence set up in my table saw to make a lot of quick cuts. The precision of these cuts isn't great, especially on the table saw there, but I do have a miter uh, custom fence here to make more precise cuts. But the best way of cutting 45s is right here with a sled that you can make. I'll have a description below, a link to the video that I used to make this, and it makes perfect 45-degree angle cuts, whether you're using this for picture frames or for general woodworking. It's the best way of making 45-degree cuts. It does take a little work to make this, but it's well worth it to have. Okay, here's one piece assembled and all the pieces cut. You can see those are 8-inch pieces for the interior support. And I like laying everything out and making sure everything's going to fit up. And I like gluing all my joints and fastening my joints. The lumber, when you buy 204 lumber, it's usually somewhat moist and it will warp on you, so you want to secure it as best you can. Also, right here, I put my eyelets in for my hanging wire. I like doing that ahead of time, and that prevents you from, later on when you get the canvas on, having to drill holes and put that in is very difficult. So it's easier to do right here and get it out of the way. And so I checked all my angles, my 45s. I went through, did a light sanding on the edges. Those are sometimes got sharp edges or splinters. So there's the finished product, and here's all the pieces assembled. Next, we're going to do the canvas, and I like go ahead and laying this out as well before I cut my fabric. And you need to add 6 inches in 2 dimensions. That gives you 1 inch at least. I mean, when you stretch it, you get more than that to lay out whenever you stretch the canvas and fasten it. Also want to iron your fabric. It's usually got a lot of wrinkles and things like that in there. But you start by securing the 4 sides in the middle of the frame using a canvas stretcher, and I'll also put a link to that uh, in the description below. Next, we're going to secure the corners and go ahead and pre-fold all 4 corners here, and I'll demonstrate how to do that. You can rewind this and see, but I like having my folds on the bottom of the frame, depending on the orientation. So these are going to be portrait orientations, so I like folding them like this for portrait, and I'll do the opposite for landscape. Also mention that I save my canvases. I don't normally put them on the frame until I'm ready to paint, so I'll roll those other extras up until I'm ready to make a painting. And you just work your way from the middle to the outside slowly. And I've switched to a pneumatic staple gun here for the corners where there's thick amount of canvas. It's a little bit harder to do with the hand stapler. And so this is the finished product. And here in a second, I'll show you what it looks like beside a blank frame. And you'll see how that bevel, basically, if you were to have a flat piece of lumber here, you would see that on the canvas. You don't want to see that, so that's why we bevel it. So yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.